What the hell is video game production anyway? So today I want to talk about something near and dear to my... One sec. There we go. So today I want to talk about something that's near and dear to my heart, which is game production. Now, producers exist in all form of media, from music to movies to, as said, video games. It is the most obscure role, I think, in game development, and it is also the one most achievable for people with absolutely no talent like myself. How do I know this? Well, I've been a video game producer and designer for a bit over a decade now, and I'm going to try and explain to you how we fill a useless yet critical gap in video game production. And hopefully, these tips or tricks or whatever the hell you want to call it, or the algorithm likes me to call them, are going to help you to create awesome stuff faster and better, and in a way where you don't burn yourself out, because burning yourself out fucking sucks. Let's start with this. Everyone struggles to finish things, be it a game, be it a book, be it work itself. Unfortunately, this does not stop the moment you enter the professional industry, especially not in creative development. Because if you're good at something, you are married to the most annoying thing that we have to deal with as producers, which is perfection. Because the role to battle the antagonistic side of perfection is that of a game producer. In the past 10 years, I've been both the enemy and ally of perfection. Now, before I dive into this point, I need to say something. I really need to clarify this very, very well. I love video games. I love playing them, I love making them. I have this whole channel dedicated to it, as I'm working in games professionally, but I'm also doing it as a hobby while I play games on a daily basis. I love video games. However, as a producer, I love one thing more than making games, which is ensuring that they actually see the light of day. Now, this paints our role sometimes as the enemy of fun, or the enemy of creativity. And to some point, there's truth to this, right? Because we do play the devil's advocate. We try to balance out all the requirements that a game needs, from quality to passion to fun, and ensure that it comes out in a way where everyone can enjoy it. And in the end, the reality we live in when making games professionally is the fact that we gotta eat. We have finite resources, we have finite time, and we have finite money. So we need to figure out a way where we can try and marry all this passion together into something that is great, earns us money, and allows us to do it all over again. And this is also the reason why I do my hobby projects. You know, my hobby projects have infinite amount of time and resources. I'm there myself, there's no one waiting for me to release anything, and I could just go on my merry way and dick around as much as I want. And this segues greatly into my first point. You would think that with unlimited amount of time and resources and money and everything, you can create whatever you want because you can take however long you'd want to take. And you'd think you will be able to create this game in a shorter amount of time than a normal production cycle. However, unfortunately, if there's no real incentive to develop, if there's no real incentive to push forward or create, often what you see is that we end up in this insane loop of iteration and opinions and people thinking that things need to be different, better, improved, changed, just for a 1% increase in playability or fun. This is what we call iteration hell. And this is where a lot of games, especially hobby projects, since there is this unlimited amount of time and resources, go to die. Now, yes, there are success stories, right? I'm looking at you, Silksong. But they are more the exception than the rule, and often what you'll hear is that these people already released a successful game beforehand. Because I would gamble that all of us know a game that they've been waiting on for ages that is just not releasing because they got such a successful Kickstarter and have infinite amount of money now. So, this brings me to rule number 1. No goal is no game. If you want to finish your game, have a goal. Make it small, make it simple, make it finish a game in X amount of days, or I want my game to have fun physics, something, like have something to work towards and work with. There's a reason why there's always such great results from a game jam. There's always a very simple, clear goal. Make a game with this theme in this amount of time. Good fucking luck. Having a goal gives games purpose and direction, and thus moves development forward. Also, anything that does not align with the goal can be kind of shoved off. If you have the goal as the one thing to look at, while you're trying to move into a direction, anything that derives or moves you away from that goal can be shoved off the table, resulting in a lot less pointless discussions and a lot more production happening. Next to that, one of the things that we all know is that limitations breed creativity. So if you limit yourself with time or a specific thing you want to achieve, there's a fat chance you're going to create something really, really awesome, because creativity has to make space for those limitations. Now let's rewind back a bit, because I keep calling a producer the most useless role. Why is that? Well, as a producer, you actually don't really create anything. No assets, no code, no design documentation, nothing. As a producer, you need to find fulfillment in ensuring that others create the best things they can create. You need to find fulfillment in making others do the best amount of work they can while fighting them at times and ensuring that everyone stays aligned. In order to do this, a producer tries to rally everyone behind the work and let them focus on doing the work, while the producer themselves, they are going to be busy with everything around the work. So planning, documentation, communication, meetings, agendas, etc, etc, etc. Now, if you're alone, this might be harder. It's always harder to wear multiple hats. But if you want to be your own producer and want to ensure that you actually complete things, you could, for example, take every Monday morning to do your producer work. So do your planning, make your tickets, assign yourself, estimate how long you would take, and then for the rest of the week, just focus on doing the work instead of everything around the work. With this, I want to get to point 2, which is focus on the work, not the things around the work. Try to be the least amount of distracted as you can be with ideas or planning or social media or marketing or whatever else you have going on in your life. Try to be your own producer, but just for one day or one morning. For the rest of the week, follow your plan as you've made it. Preferably, make it physical. Make an actual board so you can move things from to do to done. There's an inherent kind of dopamine hit you get by moving things to done, by finishing things as you go through the slog of your work. You know, if you get into this motion of moving things to done constantly, it will motivate you to do the next thing and the next thing and the next thing, and this will eventually make it so that before you know it, you've created a whole bunch of stuff. And that immediately feeds into my other point. Make things small. Make them small and workable. The smaller the things you want to create are, the faster you'll get that done, and the more often you'll be hit with that little dopamine hit of, ooh, I finished a thing. Finishing things creates the happy chemical, and the more we get the happy chemical, the more we get motivated to continue doing the work. So instead of creating a ticket for yourself of like, create the whole combat system, make a ticket for yourself that's just create a kick, or maybe make it even smaller. Make a ticket for yourself that is create the VFX for a kick, or create the damage for a kick. Whatever makes it a cascading fun experience for you that allows you to get things done over and over again in a faster way is good. And this differs from team to team, because some teams actually work really well with a ticket like create a kick, whereas others are working way better with things of like create the kick VFX. I would advise to make a size that at least creates visual progression in your game. If you can actually make the things you create tangible and playable in the game, it's a lot easier to convince yourself that you're done and to show it off to yourself and maybe even others. The goal is to keep doing multiple things in a single session of work instead of being stuck on one big thing for a long time. You know, get things done more often and you will find yourself more motivated. Because moving tickets across the board is good for you. And to be honest, this doesn't just apply to your tickets. I would advise to keep your whole plan small. Don't just plan to work on something for like half a year. Plan by the week. At the end of this week, I want to do this. At the end of this week, I want to do that. Hell, plan by the day. As long as you have something that you can strive towards, which is achievable and doable, have your goal, make it small, make it achievable within the amount of time you have to work on your project, then you will be surprised by the amount of results you get. And this leads me to one of my final points, right? All in all, I would advise you to make things visible, playable, and tangible. Try to avoid staying in theory for too long. You know, you can think about things all you like, but in the end, the theory rarely comes across in the practice when it comes to fun. So try to create things. Don't just think of complex system, make a simple system and make it complex afterwards. Don't make your combat system, make your freaking kick. Instead of building your whole ability tree, just make an ability. You will learn a lot from this, and then it will allow you to further expand it to another ability, and before you know it, you have an ability system. Additionally, this will allow you to show things off. You know, get motivated by showing others the vision you have and showing tangible progress that you've made. Making games takes as long as you want it to take. You can make it easier on yourself by working with achievable small steps. You can always come back and improve it. You can always start anew. You can always make a new game. But it's really important that you do things in steps that are doable and achievable, especially if you're alone. And this is the most important thing that I want you guys to know to get something done. Dream big, but end small. Enjoy the process and endure the pain. Making games is difficult. There's a lot that comes into it. There's a lot of different things you need to learn, and the bigger you dream, the more you set yourself up for failure. So you're allowed to dream big, but you need to do it in achievable small steps. Dream big or end small. The whole process is going to take a while, and there's going to be a lot of pain along the way. So the more you enjoy the process, the higher the chance is that you actually create something. And if you actually want to see me put my money where my mouth is, you can have a look at this video right here. If my camera does what I think it does not. So it's here. Yeah, so I actually make games. And I actually try to follow this as much as I can. I'm not saying that I do it constantly and good, but at least you will have a sense of what I'm able to do alone by following these simple steps. Thanks for watching, and if you like this kind of stuff, consider subscribing. Leave a comment, leave a like. Tell me what other things you would like to learn from the producers. Thanks, guys.